So there's an old adage that those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I feel like right now in 2026, we are watching American Girl repeat their own history. Let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit American Girl's discontinued lines and see if we can find some connective tissue from Pleasant Company to modern American Girl and see if we can learn from American Girl's history. So let's get into it. And in case you're new, hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a writer and artist and adult toy collector. I have collected toys my entire life, and this is my channel where we can hang out and talk about those things. This channel is really like an intersection of all of my special interests, storytelling and toy collecting, and I like to delve into the stories of toys. I like to delve into their history, related media, etc. If you like what you see here today, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out new uploads every Saturday. All right, so we will largely be going in chronological order for this video so we can kind of tie some things together. I'll be using a lot of visual aids throughout to, give you guys some references in case some of these items are new to you. A lot of them were new to me. We're gonna start with something that I've actually been researching on and off for a video for quite some time. This is just gonna be really brief, but let's talk about Pleasant Times. So Pleasant Times was a black and white newspaper that was released in 1987 through Pleasant Company. Pleasant Company, if you are new to the whole world of American Girl, was the original company under which American Girl was founded. It was renamed American Girl holistically by Mattel during their acquisition in 1998. When the company was founded, it was the American Girls collection by Pleasant Company. Pleasant Company released Pleasant Times, again, a black and white newspaper that was originally issued in 1987. There were 4 to 6 copies released every year, and in 1996, this became essentially the fertile ground for the American Girls Club and Historical Society. This was something to which you had a paid membership to participate in the Historical Society. There were subscription boxes and everything. Again, I've been researching this for a while for a separate video. I have a lot of thoughts. So in 1996, Pleasant Times changed its name to the American Girl News, and then an offshoot of that was the American Girls Club and Historical Society. They actually dropped the Historical Society portion at the end of 1998, and it just became the American Girls Club for the last year in 1999. Though Mattel did try and revamp the American Girls Club in 2004, and that only lasted to 2006. In 1990, Pleasant Company released their second doll line, Our New Baby. Our New Baby was not gender specific and was available in 3 different ethnicities. You could buy the doll on its own for $54, or you could buy the doll along with its activity and pop-up book, which was actually authored by Pleasant Rowland, the founder of Pleasant Company, for $68. There was also a complete Our New Baby starter set, which was $275. And again, this is $275 in the early 90s. So that would calculate to about, in modern money. I do have a lot of thoughts on the Our New Baby line and subsequent baby doll lines by Pleasant Company and American Girl. When Pleasant Rowland formed her mission statement for the American Girls collection, which we now know as the historical collection, the idea was to create dolls that represented girls as they are and not create dolls that encouraged either, adulthood like Barbie or mothering like baby dolls often do. However, when Pleasant originally established the company, the historical dolls, she wanted those to be for ages 6 and plus, but that actually had to be changed to 8 plus. So my theory is that Our New Baby was Pleasant Rowland's attempt to capture that younger audience that she originally thought she could capture with the American Girls collection with the historical dolls, but actually wasn't able to because of safety regulations and whatnot with the accessories, etc., that were available with the American Girls collection. I actually came across a letter to parents. It was a letter written by Pleasant Rowland to parents about the upcoming Our New Baby line, that essentially it was a thank you and to acknowledge all of the working mothers at Pleasant Company. And while that's a very sweet sentiment, I don't buy it. Pleasant Rowland was an absolute visionary, but first and foremost, she was a businesswoman. And it was in her best interest as a businesswoman to expand her audience for her toy company. And reaching down to that 6+ demographic would be very helpful for her and the growth of her company. That's why I'm not too fond of the departure from the historical line into the baby doll line. That being said, what I do appreciate about the line is that they actually included boys in it. Like, one, Our New Baby was not gender specific. So Bitty Baby, which is the modern iteration of Our New Baby, is supposed to be a baby girl. Our New Baby, as it was established in 1990, it could be a boy or a girl. It was up to the child playing with the doll. And that I think is fantastic. But also, Pleasant Company had a line of dress like your doll clothes. So the dress like your doll line started with the historical girls, where you too could dress like a Victorian orphan or like a Swedish immigrant trying to stave off scurvy and dysentery. Yeah, that was specifically supposed to be for little girls, but with the Our New Baby line, they released clothes for little boys and little girls. And the little boy in this photo absolutely kills me because he looks so much like my brother did at that age. I really applaud Pleasant Company for that. That was pretty revolutionary at that point to include boys in that kind of marketing. We were starting to see things like Our Buddy and Kid Sister back in the 80s that also, promoted boys playing with dolls, but you don't often see it in high-end doll lines like this. So I think that was very refreshing. I do applaud Pleasant Company for that. Our New Baby lasted from 1990 to 1995. And in 1995, we saw the transition from Our New Baby to Bitty Baby, which again is an ongoing line and is specifically a baby girl, not gender neutral.
And I would like to give a quick honorable mention to this absolutely fantastic Bitty Baby outfit, which also has a dress like your doll component.
All right, and in 1994, we saw the introduction of two major lines. We saw Miss A.G. Bear, who is an absolute icon, and American Girl gear. I mentioned these two things side by side because they were released at the same time. Both of them were announced in the November-December issue of American Girl magazine in 1994. And upon her release, you could buy Miss A.G. Bear without a meat outfit or anything for $18, or you could buy her with her meat outfit for $28. So it's important to remember that Miss A.G. Bear was actually released 1 year before the very first iteration of the American Girl of Today dolls. So at this point in Pleasant Company and American Girl history, we only had the historical dolls and Our New Baby. There weren't any contemporary dolls. We didn't have American Girl of Today, Truly Me, Just Like You, My American Girl, etc. yet. So the first real contemporary character that girls had as part of Pleasant Company was Miss A.G. Bear. Miss A.G. Bear had outfits like the mix and match one you could then buy in girl size from sizes 6 to 16. The very first modern character that you could dress like was a bear. It's adorable. So Miss A.G. Bear went from 1994 to 1998, and she was supposed to be the official mascot for American Girl magazine. Her outfits are often mistaken on the secondhand market for American Girl doll outfits because there are also American Girl doll outfits that are very similar to the Miss A.G. Bear outfits, and obviously that is incredibly intentional. So American Girl of Today came out in 1995 and mimicked a lot of these same outfits. It's darling. So let's look at some of the pictures.
So of course, Miss A.G. Bear had her mix and match meat outfit on the left. She had Bear's beach wear on the right. She had her little sailor suit and her 2 pajama sets. You could also get her warm-up outfit on the left, and of course you could dress up just like her. Or my favorite, her soft and shiny outfit on the right. Or, in my personal opinion, the next best thing, her purple parka. How adorable is that? In totality, I have to say, this was one superbly dressed bear.
And again, American Girl gear, which was a fashion and accessories line by Pleasant Company, was also released in 1994 alongside Miss A.G. Bear. And it had fashions for sizes 6 to 16. Let's take a look at some of those fashions.
I am such a sucker for the summer spread. I love all the primary colors that are used in the American Girl gear line, and then all of the bold stripes and the Miss A.G. Bears tucked all around. fantastic. These back to school sets are just phenomenal. I am, however, very confused by the messenger bag that you can get personalized with what looks like your own address. I think someone missed their Stranger Danger seminar. And the color blocking in this is absolutely fantastic. And of course, that lunch bag also came in doll size. I look for both every time I go thrifting. And I just had to put the side by side together of the birthday outfit for both the doll and the girl. It's just phenomenal.
And the American Girl bedroom accessories, oh my gosh, these things are incredible. And one of the things that makes them so difficult to find on the secondhand market is it's not like the licensed properties that you would see from, say, Hallmark that would have images of the characters on them. The bedroom accessories were basically scaled up versions of things you could buy for your dolls in girl size. So for instance, you could buy this comforter for your doll, and then you could buy this comforter for your room. That's part of what makes them so hard to pick out in the secondhand market, is that they just look like normal kids' bedroom accessories. American Girl gear just scratches a certain part of my brain. It is so satisfying. I love all the color blocking. I love all the patterns. I love it. By the way, my communities tab is now open. Please, if you had any of these items, if you had the American Girl gear fashions or the bedroom accessories or Miss AG Bear, whatever it is, please share your photos and your stories over on the community tab. I love these things so much, and I can't wait to hear about your experiences with them. American Girl gear went from 1994 to 2002, and they released usually 2 collections a year. There was a spring summer collection and a fall winter collection. And for the American Girl bedroom accessories, that only had a 2-year run, 2001 and 2002. Also in 1994, an absolute American Girl classic, the Grin Pins. Grin Pins were available in girl and doll sizes. I didn't have any of the Grin Pins growing up. The first Grin Pins I ever got were the mini Grin Pins that came in Nikki and Isabel Hoffman's historical collection, and they're so adorable. Isabel even has a beret that has the little Grin Pin sewn onto it that actually is sort of like a reproduction of a black beret that was available through American Girl gear, I think in 1997. Really, really cool. So I love that they did that. And the Grin Pins started in 1994 and were phased out through like the early 2000s. My guess would be that they stopped production around 1998 with the Mattel acquisition and then just went through their supply. Next in 2000, we have AG Minis. AG Minis were fantastic. Again, not a line that I had, but I deeply appreciate. So if you're familiar with Row Life, like those little dollhouse rooms that you can assemble, that's basically what AG Minis were. They were on, I think, a slightly smaller scale. You could have working lights and all kinds of things. There were even specific display setups that you could get for your AG Minis, and they used a lot of the same color palettes as the American Girl gear and the contemporary collections that were coming out at the time. So very, very cool line. And in 2001, American Girl did something kind of interesting. Folks complain often about all the licensing that American Girl does with different companies like Walt Disney Corporation, with Wicked, with all of these other licensed properties. In 2001, American Girl licensed Angelina Ballerina. Angelina Ballerina was first published in 1983, and American Girl produced products of Angelina Ballerina and that whole cast of characters from 2001 to 2004. This was, in my opinion, a much more inventive way for American Girl to try and reach that younger demographic that wasn't yet old enough for the 18-inch dolls or for the upcoming Girls of Many Lands. And then in 2002, we have the introduction of Girls of Many Lands. So Girls of Many Lands was an attempt for American Girl to reach an older audience. So they were a smaller scale doll that was even more intricately designed, and they were meant to appeal to girls who would be aging out of the standard 18-inch American Girl dolls. The dolls came with their own books. Instead of being focused on American girls, it was girls from around the world, representing varying cultures, time periods, and stories. Girls of Many Lands came to an end in 2005. So this is another one of those attempts for American Girl to essentially widen their audience, which we more often see with them trying to age things down, but this was one of those rare attempts where they tried to age things up a little bit and hold on to that slightly older audience. In 2003, American Girl introduced Hopscotch Hill. The dolls were haunting at best. If you love them, I love you for it. This is a part of American Girl history that I was very happy to see come to an end. These dolls definitely fall into the uncanny valley for me. This was a 14-inch doll that was meant to appeal again to those kids who weren't yet old enough for the 18-inch dolls, so more like preschool, kindergarten, etc. The line lasted from 2003 to 2006. The dolls had their own line of storybooks, which were authored by veteran American Girl author Valerie Tripp. I kind of don't know how they lasted this long. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not. I collect dolls of all different kinds, and you can call my dolls ugly. That's fine. But these dolls just fall so heavily into the uncanny valley. I don't know how they ever found an audience. I'm glad that there are people out there who enjoy these, but
I can smell your fear.
Hopscotch Hill again went from 2003 to 2006. Next, in 2003, we have the Biddy Twins. So the Biddy Twins are an interesting middle ground between Biddy Baby and the regular 18-inch American Girl dolls, where they have a softer body on the order of Biddy Baby with floppy limbs, but then they also have wigged hair like the 18-inch dolls. This gave more play opportunity to kids who were starting to show interest in hair play, which, as you know, we've talked about in other videos, is a very common way for primates and other mammals to engage in social bonding. It's a good thing to add into play patterns and whatnot for younger kids. They came with their own books. Their fashions could actually be swapped with the 18-inch dolls. I found a whole bunch of Biddy Baby and Biddy Twins fashions on the secondhand market, and it's nice that even though I don't have Biddy Twins, my American Girl dolls can wear the fashions, and you just style them a little bit differently, and they're super cute, especially the shoes.
Biddy Twins lasted from 2003 to 2016. And another honorable mention, this adorable little beverage cart for Biddy Twins. Oh my gosh.
In 2004, a marquee moment in American Girl history, we got the Best Friends line. The Best Friends line was a line of best friends for the historical characters. This is something that folks are still clamoring for American Girl and Mattel to bring back. The line lasted from 2004 to 2014, and here are some of the characters that it included.
Felicity Merriman got Elizabeth Cole. Samantha Parkington got her dear Nellie O'Malley. Kit Kittredge got her bestie, Ruthie Smithens. Molly McIntyre got Emily Bennett. Not clear if they're actually best friends, but they're best friend dolls. Julie Albright got her best friend, the one and only Ivy Ling. And American Girl released their first duo of historical best friends, Cecile Ray and Marie Grace Gardner, in 2011.
And in 2014, a dark, dark shadow fell upon the American Girl community. Not only did we see the end of the Best Friends line, but we saw the beginning of Be Forever. So Be Forever was marketed as a rebranding, a revamp of the historical line of American Girl dolls, but it was so incredibly unnecessary, also so poorly executed. Like, it was just bad. Like most things, there were still good things about it. We got Nanea, we got Melody, we got Mary Ellen Larkin, all great characters. But again, we lost the Best Friends line, and we gained incredibly historically anachronistic fashions, color palettes. Why is Samantha wearing gladiator sandals? Like, make it make sense.
Under no circumstance can you convince me this is the same person.
This line was just a hot mess. It was all over the place, and there was a ticker tape parade when it came to an end in 2019. So in 2016, we saw the end of the Biddy Twins, but we also saw the arrival of the WellieWishers. The WellieWishers were American Girl's newest attempt at catching the interest of that, like 6+ audience, 4+ audience that, again, aren't old enough yet for the 18-inch historical dolls. Some people don't like them. That's fine. I was not a fan of Hopscotch Hill. I adore the WellieWishers. I think they're so cute. There are some like design things that I would change personally, but their accessories are really high quality. Their fashions are high quality. They have really cute face molds, wigged hair, just adorable. They all have their own little storybooks, and the line plays heavily into the idea of imaginative play, which I think is very sweet and completely age appropriate for the demographic that they are targeting with this line. Now, that being said, they're a part of this list because in 2025, it was announced that the WellieWishers were going to be retired. However, I'm now wondering whether or not that's actually the case. It doesn't seem that the AG sisters are doing particularly well. Like, they're selling, but I don't think they're selling in the numbers that Mattel was hoping for. And also, a lot of their stuff has been on and off of very deep sales for a long time, like since they came out. American Girl has continued to increase the price on the WellieWishers that are available on the website, and American Girl only increases the price on items that they still have in production. So that being said, we're definitely getting some mixed signals from American Girl right now as to whether or not the WellieWishers are actually off the table. So I'm going to include them on this list because there was that announcement last year in 2025 that they were being retired. However, they're still increasing the prices, which says they're still in production. So we'll see. I would love to see the WellieWishers stay on. I think it's an adorable line. I think they're really cute. They're high quality. I like that they're focused more on imaginative play, like I feel little kids should be, and not makeup and accessories like we're seeing with the AG sisters. I'm not saying the AG sisters are inappropriate in any way. I think they're fine for the age group. But when it comes to messaging, I prefer the messaging about imaginative play rather than like, let's do our makeup and our hair for that age group. All right, off my high horse. Okay, and lastly on the list, we have The World by Us. So World by Us, like Girls of Many Lands, was actually an attempt to try and catch the interest of somewhat older children.
The World by Us characters are actually supposed to be 13 years old instead of the traditional 9 or 10.
And they were the first dolls to introduce eyelashes. I know, right? Which have now become standard for the American Girl line in totality, which is just another signal that American Girl is trying to stay current and stay relevant as best they can. Just in doing that, they really seem to be splitting their audience, which is unfortunate. In generations previous, the relationship between kids' clothing and adults' clothing was much closer, and nowadays there's much more of a gap between kids' wardrobes and adult wardrobes. Kids' wardrobes now tend to be much more colorful, much more, glittery, sequins, rainbows and unicorns, etc. Honestly, things you'd find in my wardrobe. While adult wardrobes have become more subdued. And I think for that reason, American Girl is incapable of moving down a center line that appeals to multiple demographics, and they have to aim their products towards their primary demographic, which is 6+. The World by Us line launched in 2021 with 3 characters. Their stories revolved around the pandemic. American Girl responded in a very timely fashion to what was going on. So that being said, while American Girl did respond very quickly and in, a very American Girl fashion as far as like the narrative of the stories and whatnot,
unfortunately, the line was plagued with controversy, and the dolls only got 1 extra round of releases, and then the product slowly petered out of inventory, the last of it selling off, I believe, in 2025.
Okay, class, so what did we learn today? I think the important thing to take away from this list is that both Pleasant Company and Mattel were constantly trying to expand their audience in both directions. They were trying to capture the imagination of a younger audience and also the nostalgia of an older audience for many years. They've thrown a lot of things at the wall and a couple of things have stuck, but most lines fall apart after just a few years. So while American Girl is making some choices that a lot of us aren't really fond of right now, take comfort in knowing that they won't be around for that long. And the next Best Friends line might be just around the corner. All right, guys. Well, like I said, that community tab is going to be open. Please share your pictures and stories about your favorite nostalgic items, the American Girl gear, accessories, things like that. And again, if you like the video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next Saturday for a new upload. Bye.